First and foremost, you did not think this movie was going to perform very well, did you?
No, I did not.
No. And it hasn't, really, has it?
No, it hasn't. No, it's I don't know where we're at now, but the Disney didn't know it was going to perform well. That's why they floated out a lie of a $180 million budget. And that's just an outright lie. Now, Disney does not have to tell the truth. You hear a lot of people say they have to tell the truth for their investors. Technically, yes, but technically, it wouldn't be a lie if you said the budget for the film was $180 million. If you're not specific, that's very open. That could have been the budget for the reshoots. That could have been Harrison Ford's weed bill. That could have been the catering. Right. We don't know. So they're not technically lying, but they are lying because the overall budget for the film, which we'll never know, is somewhere in the vicinity of $350 million. In a $180 million Marvel film post Endgame would be the cheapest Marvel movie made by orders of magnitude. And the $100 million marketing would be the lowest they've spent on marketing by orders of magnitude, which is just not true. I've seen Captain America 4 shit everywhere. So the reality is $350 million budget, minimum $150 to $180 million on marketing.
Well, they're saying that worldwide, the grosses have been $372 million, which this seems like a pretty catastrophic failure. Have you actually seen the movie?
I have. I've reviewed it. I've seen it twice, unfortunately.
Why twice?
I watch everything twice I review.
You know what? That's fair.
And I will, if I don't, I will say so in the review. I will absolutely say so because my memory is Swiss cheese. And if I'm in a theater, I have to take notes, and sometimes my notes suck. So,
have you ever watched something? Have you watched something the first time and gone back a second time and been like, "Oh, that was actually way better than the first time"?
Yeah, I mean, like there's movies out there that I can't say I've hated a movie and then like decided to like it, but there was one I was like, Constantine. Constantine is a movie I was convinced I was going to hate, and then I saw it on a preview, and I was like, that was okay. That was pretty good. And then as time went on, I'm like, no, this movie's an absolute banger. I freaking love it. So it's grown on me as time goes on. But yeah, I can't say that I've seen a movie that I hated and saw it again and went, oh no, I was totally wrong on that one.
Well, this is, the movie has not done very well, and like the marketing was really was poor leading up to it. I think for me, and like when you look at, like, my wife was like, why is there a red Hulk? You know, when you hear Hulk, there's green Hulk, and that's who she knows. So she's like, why is Hulk red all of a sudden, right? And I think for a lot of people, that may have been a big question for them. Why did Hulk all of a sudden become red and change colors? And why is Captain America no longer in there? And for me personally, if I missed any of the Marvel movies, like, I'm out. Like, because it's this, I don't want to have to go back and see 3 previous movies that I missed to get caught up on what's happening in Captain America, in the new one, right? So, that I think that's the trouble with having a universe, if you will, is that you have to be really in it, and you got to be totally invested. From a business perspective, it does build brand allegiance for sure. As people, if you go back 15, 20 years ago, before the first Iron Man was released, the idea of like a Marvel Cinematic Universe was like kind of crazy. It was very niche, but now Marvel has become this big brand that literally everybody knows. So it's worked from that perspective. But I don't know. For me, that's kind of been the big thing for me, is just having to keep up with everything. But there was a lot of talk about the star, obviously, Anthony Mackie, and he's been making the rounds. He appeared on a podcast called Pivot. Have you heard of this show before?
I've not heard of the show, but I saw a couple of clips. I know there's one more that came out today, but
yeah, the clip that we're going to talk about today is him talking about. Now, once again, you don't have to agree with like the guy personally or everything that comes out of his mouth, but I do think what he says here is pretty interesting. And this is him talking about the death of pretty much masculinity in America.
Yes.
Let me get your thoughts on this.
I keep my boys humble. Like my boys have never had a pair of Jordans. You know, my boys don't do all that internet fly shit. I'm like your kids. And no, I don't give a, I could be the biggest star in the world. Do not let me catch you being stupid. Do not. And my oldest gets it. My 15-year-old, he tells the other ones, he's like, yo, don't make dad mad. Because once you get one that's right, he's gonna straighten the other ones out. So it's just that thing of, in the past 20 years, we've been living through the death of the American male. They have literally killed masculinity in our homes and our communities for one reason or another. But I raised my boys to be young men. And however you feel about that, you feel about that. But my boys will always be respectful. They will always say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. No, sir, no, ma'am. They will always say thank you. They will always open the door for a lady. They will always make sure that their mother is taken care and provided for. They will always be men. And that's always since they were 2 years old. Every time I left for a job, I tell my 15-year-old, you're the man of the house. You make sure these doors are locked every night. This alarm is on. You text me or you call me every night before you go to bed and you wake up.
I love that.
Because we're men. If I'm not there to protect, he got to be there to protect. Because you can have all the money in the world, climb through the window, that money means nothing. Right. You can have all the celebrity in the world, you jump through the door, that celebrity means nothing. Yeah. So you got to have a little guard in there, you know? And so for me, it's always that idea of American masculinity is very different.
All right, thank you for that.
He's 100% right. He's 100% right. You know, with right now, you know, what's the last thing I told my oldest son, who's an adult, but I told you take care of your mom because he's with his mom right now, you know, while she's dealing with her stuff. He's 100% right. And it's Hollywood, and it is social. It has been tech companies, Hollywood, our government, the world government, who has eroded masculinity, who has made who has used the term toxic masculinity as a broad term of all masculinity. And that's what's led to dudes thinking they're girls. It's led to a lot of confusion. You couple that with man, your brother's been amazing on this, on COVID, on how that's broken so many people. That's played into this too. But the erosion of masculinity is something that was actually planned. This is a planned thing. And it's because there is a sect of people who actually believe a matriarchy would be better. That's a small sect, but it exists, and it really exists in Hollywood. And it's also, who runs Hollywood? The gays. And so like there's been that eroding masculinity, and they've just driven all the, I'll stay in my lane in Hollywood. They've driven all the masculine talent away. That like they're just gone. So what's missing from Star Wars? Masculinity. What's missing from Star Trek? What's missing from Doctor Who? What's missing? Masculinity. What is Harry Potter filled with? Written by a woman. Masculinity. Yep. So and that's Harry Potter's a great balance of it, just like Doctor Who used to be. You know, that's why the Harry Potter fandom and Doctor Who fandom are pretty much split 50-50 men and women.
And
right?
It's weird that you say that, because back in the days when the books were first coming out, it was honestly, I feel like it was more for men, Harry Potter. Like it was a lot more male dominated. And now it's a lot more female dominated because all the men have been pushed away. Yep. They've been completely pushed away.
Pushed away from the fandoms.
Yep.
In the forums and everything, like anytime a dude would be a dude, they would, and it was always the women who came in, like, especially, this with gaming. Gaming's got a culture. That's just the way it is. And there are a bunch of women who can hang, but there's a bunch who can't. So because they can't hang, it's the dude's problem. No, it's your problem. It's your problem because you're taking everything personal that the dude, when I throw gamer words at Jeremy, it is a term of endearment. That's how we communicate as men. All right. Right. And that locker room talk is how we communicate as men, and making that evil is one of the most evil things that has been done to our society. Right. This is how men communicate. This is how men nurture each other, by giving each other shit. What it does is it makes you realize, it takes the stick out of your ass. You don't take yourself so seriously. Right. You're there to as a dad, you're there to protect your family and stuff, but you also, there's a balance there if you're not taking yourself that seriously. Come on.
So a couple things, right? Anthony Mackie is our age, like he's 46 years old, right? He was raised in a different time, and he's bringing his kids up according to those values. Which, when I say a different time, I mean a better time, right?
Yes.
When men were men, and men treated women like women, opened the door for them, said yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. Important things that I teach my daughters, that that a man should open the door for you, and that you do say yes ma'am and no sir and everything there. But you know what's funny, because I'm staying here, my family's out here on the beach, they're 100 feet away from me, and we were all sitting in this living room last night, and we were watching a show that I think would be deemed extremely it would be toxic masculinity. But I'm telling you this right now, this show is it holds up today. It's hilarious. And I think that it's just good old fashioned home values. And that is Home Improvement. If you've watched Home Improvement lately with Tim Allen, Home Improvement is spectacular.
Yep.
And you have a strong male. You have, and yes, he screws up, but he's balanced with another strong wife. His wife gives it right back to him. The kids give him shit the entire time. He gives his kids shit, but he's there for them. He is a father. He is a proud father, and he goes out of his way to make sure that he every time there's a lesson for his kids. And guess what? That man is still learning. He's learning from his neighbor Wilson across the way, who's there to educate him about things. He has questions, and it's okay for men to talk to each other. Like, that show is such a strong show, and it's cool to see that Tim Allen's made a couple different spiritual successors. He did Last Man Standing to it, which was a really good show, and he has another one. Yeah, but Tim Allen's bit, whether he's had his issues for sure personally, but the messages that he has in his shows are really, really strong. And I think you can go back and watch. If today's generation went back and watched Home Improvement, they would learn a lot. And like I said, my kids and their boy cousins, I got 2 girls, they have boy cousins, and everybody was hooked watching that show. They loved everything about it. They loved the little jokes. They loved that he was there. And they couldn't stop watching it last night. They watched 3 episodes of Home Improvement last night because it resonated with them, and it still was there. It's great. I would love to see that return in some way, shape, or form. So, but bringing it back to go ahead, Gary.
No, I was going to say, I think it might. I mean, as long as people it's being designated, right? A lot of this stuff is being like Angel Studios and stuff. But I think definitely Hollywood is now seeing dollar signs with that. It's taken them a really long time to understand that woke and identity doesn't sell, authenticity does. And that's a word you're going to hear a lot. But you were talking about like going away from the brand earlier. You're not being authentic to your own brand. Disney Star Wars is not authentic to the Star Wars brand, just to simplify it for you. So I think it will. I think a lot of Taylor Sheridan stuff, and there's cringe stuff in his stuff too. But
for sure.
There's a lot of family shit though, and that's why a lot of people like it. And that's the whole point. The biggest lie that's been sold to women is feminism. Because feminism is the one who demonized motherhood, the greatest job in the world. And you know what? It doesn't mean you can't work. I watched my wife be a mom and have a career. It's possible. It's just a lot of extra work. But if you're into it, if you really want this career and you want kids, it's possible. So we're not saying sit at home, but if you do want to sit at home, that's fine too. There's nothing bad about that, and you're contributing to society much more than some single woman going off into her 50s, not having any kids, and then wondering what the fuck went wrong. Like that's the lie that they've been sold, unfortunately.